What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cam ATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got some NFL this weekend. We're gonna get straight into it. There's been a lot of trades that went down over the last few days, so that's awesome to see. Sorry I didn't have a video last week. I took a few days off, just relaxed last week, didn't really worry too much about NFL videos, but I'm back. Let's go ahead and touch on all of my favorite plays at each position and break this slate down so we can dominate. Starting off at quarterback. My favorite option at quarterback, obviously, is Deshaun Watson. My only worry here is that Houston gets up and gets up quickly. Okay, and then they use a lot of Lamar Miller. In cash, Deshaun Watson's going to be a very chalky guy to play, so you can't lose on that. When you're playing cash games, the smartest strategy to go with is just to bite the chalk and play the guys that are going to be highly owned, because even if they suck, they're not going to hurt you too much. Okay, Deshaun Watson's not going to suck, though. This is a great matchup here for Deshaun at 81. Like I said, though, the only down part is I don't know about his upside because I don't see this game staying very competitive. If I'm going to choose anybody, I would say Brissett. Having to throw a lot to keep up with Houston and try to catch up to Houston is in a great spot. And I love him at his price range, but we'll touch on him in a second. Russell Wilson going against Washington. This is another solid matchup, but this would mean Cousins would have to actually be successful versus Seattle defense in Seattle for Russell to really make his value and have to throw as much as you would want him to. And at 73, I'd prefer to go the guy under him, Drew Brees, at home in New Orleans. You guys know. When Drew Brees is at home, he is an amazing play. And honestly, over $1,000 less than Deshaun Watson, that's a steal. I love Drew Brees at home in New Orleans going against Tampa Bay. That's a great play at 7,000. Okay, Tampa Bay has given up over 20 Draftkings points the last 3 weeks. Tom Brady didn't have to do much week 5. He only got 17, but he would have got more if he had to do more. So it's a good matchup for Drew Brees. I love Drew Brees at 7,000. Next up, we got Dak Prescott going against Kansas City. Now, on one side of this, Ezekiel Elliott is officially suspended, so Alfred Morris will be getting the start. Now, here's the thing with this. Yes, I do expect Dak to have to throw more, and this is a matchup where he's going to have to throw anyways because Kansas City's going to score pretty easily on Dallas, okay? The only thing here is that with Ezekiel Elliott, defenses have to stack the box, okay? Dak deals with a lot of stacked boxes as long as Ezekiel Elliott is in the game next to him, okay? With Zeke out, defenses are going to be running more of a zone coverage more often, all right? He's going to be having to find his spots a little tougher without Zeke back there with him, so keep that in mind. But on the bright side, without Zeke, they're probably not going to rely on the run as much, and they're going to throw a lot more, and I expect Dak to have to throw. So as long as he can pick off the spots in the zone coverage where they're slacking, he's going to be a good solid option. But I just want to make sure you guys keep in mind that defenses will not be stacking the box anymore. They're not going to stack the box against Alfred Morris. They're going to drop into coverage against Dak. All right? Alex Smith, I just talked about that. Dallas' secondary is bottom in the league. Alex Smith is a great option here. I love Alex a lot at 6,500. I like him a lot. Cam Newton going against Atlanta. I actually like Cam a lot. I like the Cam and Christian McCaffrey connection here because Atlanta gives up a lot to pass-catching running backs, and I love the matchup with Cam and Christian. This is a very good matchup against Atlanta. Now, Atlanta has really let me down so far this year. Cam at home going against my Falcons team that hasn't been great at all, man. We lost to Miami a few weeks ago, and we just haven't been the same since. So it's very depressing. Cam Newton should have a good game at 63. I definitely like Cam a lot. And like I said, pair him with Christian McCaffrey. All right. Matt Ryan, I don't want too much exposure with him. He hasn't done much so far this year. Carson Wentz going against that Denver defense. No, thank you. This is another situation where Osweiler will be starting over Simeon this time. And I actually like Osweiler here a little bit. Obviously in GPP, he's not a cash game guy. He's not a safe option. But I definitely like Osweiler a little bit here in this matchup. Marcus Mariota going against Baltimore. I will not have much exposure to that. Kirk Cousins in the Legion of Doom's home. The shit gets super loud in Seattle. It's going to be a tough one on Kirk Cousins. Carson Palmer's out, obviously, guys. So Drew Stanton is going to be starting. I see a lot of AP in this game, guys. Adrian Peterson's going to get the ball 20 plus times in this game. I love AP in this game if I had to choose anybody. Jared Goff going against the Giants. That's a decent little option. I actually like Goff here in New York. Okay, it's a good matchup. All right, they gave up 29 to Russell Wilson week 7. They gave over 20 DraftKings points to Trevor Siemian, Phillip Rivers, Winston. It's a good matchup for Jared Goff. I think he's going to be very low owned too. Good GPP option. Jacoby Brissett. I was talking about that a little bit ago. I love Jacoby Brissett here in this situation. Like I said, I expect Deshaun Watson and company to get up big, quickly, and use a lot of Lamar Miller. Okay, I love what Deshaun Watson is doing over there, by the way, man. The dude is a good dude, period. And the fact that he's balling like he is, I love it. Jacoby Brissett's going to have to throw a lot to stay in this matchup. I think he's got a very solid floor, and at 5,200, he's a good option in either format. I don't think he's heavily owned in GPP, and I think he's got a solid enough floor to be a good cash game staple as well. I like Jacoby. Nobody else I really care about, honestly. I'm not too interested in any of these other guys. So let's go ahead and touch on running backs. Obviously, Zeke is out. Alfred Morris will be starting. He is definitely an option because we know Dallas has an amazing offensive line and they love running the ball. Okay, so obviously, Alfred Morris is a solid option, but I don't know about this matchup. I think Dallas is going to have to throw a lot more here in this one, so I'm not too into that situation. Todd Gurley against the Giants. I like him. Kareem Hunt going against Dallas. Dallas has not been too good versus the run. I like this Kansas City offense in general. Okay, I like the Kansas City offense, so Kareem Hunt's a good option. He's expensive at 86, but I like him. Leonard Fournette going against Cincinnati. I think he's got a solid floor in this game. I definitely think he is a good cash game option. This guy is a very consistent running back, and I definitely like him in this matchup. Mark Ingram against Tampa Bay. Mark has been very, very consistent the last 3 weeks. 34, 24, and 19 are his last 3 scores over the last 3 weeks. And Mark Ingram is at home. So I like the New Orleans offense in general. I love Drew Brees here in this one. Winston started throwing again earlier today, so he's looking like he's going to be good to go. He'll be in there. So Tampa Bay is going to be able to move the ball like they normally do and score, which makes Drew Brees keep that tempo up at home in New Orleans. So I kind of like Drew Brees a little more, and I don't really like pairing him with Mark Ingram. If I would pair him with anybody, it would be Kamara. All right? I do like Kamara in this matchup. All right? Christian McCaffrey. I talked about McCaffrey, man. I kind of like Cam here in this. I think he's a low-owned guy this week, and I like Cam and Christian here paired up against Atlanta, especially if Atlanta can keep this game close and score often and actually put some pressure and get that offense working out. That combo is going to be lethal this week. All right? Alvin Kamara, just talked about him as well, man. If I'm going to pair any running back up with Drew Brees, it would be Brees and Kamara, okay? My 2 options that I like choosing, if I'm going to choose a quarterback with his running back, it'll be Cam and Christian, and then Alvin and Drew. All right, those are my 2 options. If you're going to pair a running back with a quarterback, those are the options you have. Lamar Miller at home in Houston, man. I love Lamar this week at only 6,200. I love Lamar. He's been very consistent as of late. And like I said, I think game flow dictates that he's going to end up getting a lot of touches in this one. I see Houston getting up quick and using a lot of Lamar Miller. I see him getting 20-plus touches here in this one. I love Lamar at 6,200. Not too big on Chris Thompson against that Seattle defense. Doug Martin could be a sneaky little play. He's gotten over 10 I mean, he's not somebody that's going to go crazy for you, so I'm not that interested. I mean, you got to consider maybe Winston's a little hot wobbled still and doesn't feel super comfortable throwing as much coming into Sunday, so they run a lot of Doug. So I like Doug in that sense, but there's other options like this guy right below him, Adrian Peterson. San Francisco is the worst run-stopping defense in the league, and AP has a quarterback that's just going to hand him the ball. They're going to force-feed Adrian Peterson here in this matchup. They do not, now that Carson is out, they do not want to be airing the ball out too much. They need to rely on their run game a lot. AP still got a little bit in the tank, so he's going to need every little ounce of it that he can for the rest of the season. So I like AP a lot at 5,600. Honestly, I think Darren McFadden ends up taking over the starting role here within a week or two. After Alfred Morris posts kind of a dud-ish week this week, I think Darren McFadden takes over, and he's a good option. In season-long leagues, I think that Darren's the guy long-term that's going to end up being the guy there in Dallas. But this week, I wouldn't play Darren. They're saying Alfred's going to be the guy, so it's a wait-and-see approach with that when it comes to DFS. Carlos Hyde against Arizona. No, thank you. We got Joe Mixon versus Jacksonville. No. None of these options are really sticking out to me. I like DeMarco Murray versus Baltimore a little bit. Let's see what other guys we can do. Orleans Darkwa could end up being a solid little option versus the Rams. I could see him doing well. He's gotten 14, 17, and 7 the last 3 weeks. He got 17 versus Denver, and then he came down and only got 7 against Seattle in week 7. But I think Dark was a solid little option here, man. They've lost everybody in the pass game. They're going to use a lot of the run. I think Darkwa is a good money saver at only 3,800. I like Darkwa a lot, guys. All right, I like Darkwa a lot. Okay, he's a very solid option at only 38. Now, Darkwa, I'm not saying Darkwa's a good running back, but in this position that he's in this week, I like Darkwa. I mean, it's a good matchup. Their pass game is beat up. They're going to rely on the run a lot. So I like Darkwa at 38. I think he's a little sneaky guy to play. All right, let's go ahead and touch on some wide receivers, guys. All right, let's get in here. All right, at wide receiver, obviously at the top of the list, we got DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre will be going against the Colts. It's a great opportunity for him to rack up some points in the beginning of this game. But like I said, I think they end up being good enough with the amount of time that they have to pass the ball. I think they all end up being good enough. So I don't fault you for playing Watson or Hopkins or Fuller and even Miller added on to that. I don't fault you for stacking up Houston. But just keep in mind that they could get up big quick. Okay, and just hope that Hopkins is involved in that. Julio Jones going against Carolina is a solid option, but I'm not leaning too heavily on that. I really like Mike Evans at 77 going against New Orleans. He is one of my favorite plays of the week. Another guy that I like, Dez Bryant going against Kansas City. This is a good matchup here. They don't have Zeke, so they're going to end up throwing the ball more here in this matchup, and it's a solid matchup for him. Amari Cooper wasted them for 47 Draftkings points week 7. Antonio Brown got 32. Hopkins got 27. This is the type of game that Dez can get 20 plus here. So I like Dez a lot. Keep in mind, Kelvin has been traded to Buffalo, so he will not be there for Cam Newton. So that even raises Christian McCaffrey's potential here. All right, I like McCaffrey, and Funchess is going to get force-fed as well. So I like those guys in that Carolina offense. Regardless if Atlanta keeps it close, I think McCaffrey and Funchess are going to get force-fed the ball so much that it's a good situation for those guys. All right, Tyreek Hill. Amazing matchup for Tyreek against this horrible Dallas secondary. I love it. Michael Thomas going against Tampa Bay. This is a dream come true matchup. Great matchup. I love Drew Brees, so I got to like his number one receiver, right? I like Michael Thomas a lot. Will Fuller, he's a little too expensive now. I mean, I love his consistency and all that, but like I said, game flow's dictating that it's going to be more of a Lamar Miller pretty sooner than later type of game. Like I said, I don't fault you for stacking Houston again because their offense is just so lethal right now. But at 7,000, do you really want to spend that money on Fuller at 7,000? No, thank you. All right. Doug Baldwin against Washington. He's going to be seeing a lot of Josh Norman, so keep that in mind. I like Jimmy Graham there in that matchup. Let's keep looking. Looks like Emmanuel Sanders will be playing, so Demaryius isn't going to be the only guy to throw to there in that matchup, but that's a good, solid little matchup as long as Philly can actually score. I don't like Larry with this new quarterback. Carson and Larry's connection was awesome, but with this new quarterback, I'm not too interested in it. Deshaun Jackson's a solid option against New Orleans. A very solid option. I love him. Devin Funchess, I already talked about that. Christian McCaffrey and Funchess, guys. I love these guys going with their matchups. They've got great matchups. I love both of those guys. Mohamed Sanu, with all of the pressure on them stopping Julio, Mohamed has been a consistent option this year. And at 53, I really like him. He's a great option. Let's talk about... None of these guys are looking too great for me. Ted Ginn has actually been very consistent. Old man actually being consistent and has some good upside here against in this matchup. So I like Drew Brees. I like Michael Thomas. I like Ginn. I like Kamara. I like that New Orleans offense here in this one. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Don't forget how much I love Devin Funchess, please. I love Devin Funchess and I love McCaffrey in this matchup. Do not forget that. With Kelvin out of town, it's going to be huge upticks for those guys. All right, let's go ahead and touch on a few more. Let's touch on some money saver guys. I like Marquise Goodwin and Trent Taylor for San Fran going against Arizona. Those are solid little cheap plays. Benny Fowler is a solid little option at 4,000. Not too interested now that Emmanuel has been cleared and looks like he's going to be playing, but he's a solid little option for sure. Jeremy Maclin at 4,000 for Baltimore going against Tennessee. It's a good matchup. It's definitely a good matchup, and at 4,000, he could be definitely a good option. And that's it for wide receivers, guys. Let's go ahead and touch on tight end, and then we'll touch on defense. At the tight end position, I love Kelsey versus Dallas. Like I said, Dallas is not good versus the pass, regardless of anything. Zach Ertz going against Denver. One of Denver's weaknesses is they're bad stopping the run, and they are bad through the air. Now, I'm wondering if we will be able to play Jay Ajayi for Philly. I don't think so, but this would definitely be a good matchup for him if they end up allowing us to play Jay Ajayi in this one. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to be played since he just got traded, but he doesn't really know the playbook either, but it's a good matchup for him. I like Ajayi's potential in this Philly offense, especially with defenses having to worry about Wentz airing it out. So I definitely like that. I'm not too big on Evan Ingram. I love Jimmy Graham. I already talked about him. I love Jimmy. Some cheaper options at tight end that I love. I love Jack Doyle, guys. Okay, like I said, Houston's going to get up in this one. Let's be real. Houston's going to get up in this matchup. Okay, Brissett's going to have to throw a lot, and Doyle just got plethora of targets last week. Okay, he's going to get a lot again this week because they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. I love Jack Doyle at 43. Let's see some other options that I like. I like Croft going against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's secondary, their cornerbacks are legit. I see them holding AJ. So that's going to open up some areas for Tyler Croft in the middle of the field. So I like Croft. There's not too many awesome options. My little sneaky play of the week is going to be, let me get him. If I can find him. Here, let me type him in. Is Higbee. I like Tyler Higbee at 28, guys. I love Tyler Higbee in GPP. He's not a solid cash game type guy, but Higbee's going against the Giants, who are worst in the league versus tight ends. They've been giving it up to tight ends, and Higbee is a solid option to pair up with your boy Jared Goff. When I talked about Goff, I like Goff's potential in this matchup. Okay? If I'm going to pair Goff up, I would say Tyler Higbee's a solid little option to pair him with. I know it might sound crazy, but GPP, you can't go wrong with those guys. All right, I think Higbee ends up getting 10-plus Draftkings points and not only 2,800. That's a very solid money saver, guys. Very solid. Let's go ahead and talk about, I don't need to talk about flex. I already touched on all the positions. Defense. Let's talk defense, guys. Jaguars against Cincinnati obviously is a great matchup. I love the Ravens versus Tennessee as a cheaper option at only 29. I think they have good upside going against Tennessee. We got the Eagles defense going against this new quarterback. Now, I'm a little iffy on that. I kind of like Osweiler here, so I'm not too big on Eagles defense, but Eagles defense is very pesky. All right. I mean, I only like Osweiler in GPP. There is a chance he gets blown up. Okay. This Eagles defense is pesky. All right. They tend to just rack up points in a bunch of different ways, that defense. So keep that in mind. Texans defense, with Brissett having to air it out as much as he has to, I could see a pick six happening here. Okay. I can definitely see Houston getting a touchdown defensively. So I like Houston at 36 with Brissett having to air it out so much. Any other options I'm really interested in? Looking over it, really the teams that I have mentioned are the teams that I'm really going to be interested in playing. The Jaguars, the Ravens, the Texans are going to be my higher owned defense that I will be rolling with, guys. And it's risky, but 49ers defense at 32 could be, I don't really like saying that, but because I like AP, but how much can AP really do by himself? You know what I'm saying? I see AP being a very solid cash game staple in your lineups, but how much can he really do by himself? Okay. 49ers defense could be decent at 32, so I like that. And that's it, guys. Good luck, everybody. I hope you kill it. Like the video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go to greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. And your boy is out.